Welcome back, Paulding County Virtual Academy students. Today what we're going to be getting into is Module 3.5, the growth of cities and transportation. The last time we left off in this video lecture series, we were discussing the end of the War of 1812. But what had been happening in the United States up until the beginning of that war, and would continue after the war, is the Western development of the United States. So let's just review that very, very briefly. Now, the last time we had expanded, we had seen Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase double the size of the United States. And on top of that, Lewis and Clark's exploration had confirmed the economic potential of that Western territory by discovering new plants and animals, minerals, but also the Native American populations that lived in that particular region. In addition to this, we also saw a major economic growth of the United States between 1790 and 1850. And this was the growth of King cotton, and the commercial farming industry led to the development of new western lands, both in the north thanks to new technologies such as Cyrus McCormick's mechanical reaper, and in the south as well thanks to Eli Whitney's cotton gin. As a result of all of this, what we started to see was a rapid expansion of the West, as people continued to move from the eastern Atlantic coast seaboard across the Appalachians into this area right here, the old Northwest Territory. Now, as a result of this, we start to see towns growing very rapidly, especially in the West. Places like Vandalia, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri, Chicago, Illinois, Indianapolis, Memphis, Tennessee, all become major cities. And this western growth really starts to lead to a new idea that starts to develop in the United States. And that new idea is going to be called manifest destiny. Manifest destiny is this idea that Americans believed that America would someday expand all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And over our next few modules, we'll learn all the ways in which we're going to finish that expansion. But with all of these new people that are now west of the Appalachians, living in this region right over here and starting to spill into this region, we start to see some major economic changes that need to start happening in the United States. Between 1800 and 1840, three regional economies are going to become connected into a national market economy. Those three regions are the South, which was mainly agricultural and producing lots of cotton; the Northeast, which was mainly industrial and was full of new factories, especially after the War of 1812; and the Midwest, or the old Northwest Territory. This area was also majorly, for the most part, agricultural, but unlike the South, was mostly producing things such as corn and wheat and dairy products. Now, these three systems are all going to be connected with what's called Henry Clay's American system. Helps to connect these three systems. Now, Henry Clay will do a few things, such as creating a tariff to promote northern industries. But the biggest part of this American system is that the farmers in the South and the West needed to be able to get their goods to major population centers. Now, for the most part, what they had been using up to this point was river systems. As you can see from the images on the left-hand side, they're putting their products onto a boat and floating it down a river, using ocean-based shipping. The problem was, though, is that there were no rivers that connected the eastern factories to western farmers. This became a major issue because you wanted to be able to connect the two, because that's where the big population centers were. You had lots of people over here that needed food, and you had all these farmers over here that needed to try and get these people food. Well, the only way you could do it was to float it down a river and then sail it over here. That's not very efficient, and a lot of the food would go bad and spoil by the time that happened. So to connect this region with this region over here, all right, and get around these mountains that are right here, many states are going to start to build canals to link the East and the West together. The first major navigable waterway from New York and the Atlantic Ocean was the Erie Canal. Now, the Erie Canal was finished in 1825, and it's going to link the Great Lakes region, so this entire region over here and all the states that are here, with the Atlantic Ocean and all these big cities over here, especially with New York City that's right here. Now, as a result of the Erie Canal, the Northwest is going to grow. So the Northwest is going to be this territory over here, and that's going to start to grow in terms of population. In addition to this, New York City itself is going to triple in size. So America was becoming more connected economically. But at the same time, America was also still worried about other countries, especially European countries. Remember, we had just gotten out of that War of 1812 with the British, and we wanted to make sure that we weren't going to have future problems with European powers. As a result, what we're going to pass is we are going to pass something called the Monroe Doctrine. Now, the Monroe Doctrine warned European nations that they could no longer establish new colonies in the Western Hemisphere. And the message of the doctrine was that Europeans were not to interfere with the Americas any longer. So, what we've covered today is we've covered this early kind of economic Western development of the United States. A few things to keep in mind. Number one, the United States continues to expand westward and develop new large cities and towns on the other side of the Appalachians. The East and West become connected thanks to the Erie Canal, which helps to lead to growth in the Northwest, but also lead to the tripling of the size of New York City. And the passage of the Monroe Doctrine helps to protect the United States' newfound economic development by preventing Europeans from colonizing the Western Hemisphere anymore and keep them out of our side of the world. Until next time, have a great day. Bye for now.